Hey, Febbles.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
You hug? You hug?
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Welcome, Febs.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to do this. How you doing, dude?
Yeah, good. A little nervous.
I know, so
People
like,
can't physically, actually see us, but they're
they
hearing
can.
us.
Yeah,
Oh, they can?
So, okay, actually, let me give you the lowdown.
The lowdown.
Okay, so welcome to the very first podCARST. I'm your host, Ron Burgundy. Our guest today is the very lovely Phoebe Condon. We met a couple of years ago when she was my Uber passenger. We bonded over our mutual love for Toy Story. In today's podcast, we reminisce over some of the videos that we've made in the past, our friendships with Steph, also known as TrendyBendy, who will be in a podcast soon. And Phoebe opens up to me about her previous drug and alcohol addictions, which have very heavily impacted her life. Enjoy. One of my favorite things about doing this podcast with you is the fact that I went back and I watched every single video that we've been in together, and it's stuff from 2-ish years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. We met, I think it was just after I'd become what we call a senior leader at my cinema chain.
Yeah.
And so that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
In May, I got hired, so I think it was June.
Okay.
It was a bit over it's literally a bit over 2 years ago.
So, and it was just as Toy Story and Lion King, but Toy Story was being released.
I remember that. It was one of the last times we were really busy.
Oh man, I don't go back and watch these videos that often anymore. I just don't have time to watch my old videos. But man, it was so entertaining. We just had this rapport.
Straight away. It was
away.
so funny. I think it was the first thing I ran across, and you're like, is this a getaway
you
car
were
or something?
You were sprinting to the car. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I did a bit of a bad thing. I didn't tell my friends I was out with the girls where I was going, and I was going to meet a boy that I'd been talking to. I just left. And I was
Smoke
like,
bombing.
peace out.
Smoke bombing.
That's one of my talents, smoke bombing. I just leave.
It's easy. I was hoping to do this, down the line, I guess, but we have run out of time because you're moving.
Yeah.
You're moving to Queensland.
Yes.
What date are you leaving?
Next Thursday.
Fucking hell.
So a week and 2 days.
Fucking hell.
I have not packed. We don't have a house, but I'm going.
And you've got your going away thing this weekend.
Yes, the Friday.
This Friday. I'm coming.
You are coming, and you said you were going to drink, so that's very exciting. Obviously,
I said I'd have a couple. I'm not going to get smashed like we did in Reverse Part 2.
Oh my god, I woke up feeling so sick the next day, and even I don't drink like that ever now. I don't think I've drunk like that in months. Even on my birthday this year, I was very tame for me, which is I'm not a good drinker, and I think it's very obvious that I'm a very, very bad drinker.
Well, there was that, and we breathalyzed at the end of that. You were 0.22, which I've been breathalyzing a lot of my passengers lately. I'm doing this breathalyzer Olympics, breath Olympics, and people, at the end of their night, I assume that they would get to kind of what we were at.
No, we were fucking.
No, we were fucked.
Because
so
we
you
were
were
doing
point...
shots the whole time, and I said to both of you when we started, you were like, let's do a shot, let's do another shot, and I was like, no, we need to calm down, and you both fucking bullied me.
We kept going. Steph and I had more than you. We were fine.
Yeah, because I know my limits, and and I already knew that I'd had too much to drink, that I was going to be embarrassing. So I was like, nah.
No, you were fine. But then there was another time when lockdown first started, when COVID first hit.
Oh no.
And you and me, Steph, did the Zoom drinks. And that was also the first time I had properly drunk in a little while.
Yeah.
I don't remember half of that night. I remember because I was still living with my mum, and I remember I didn't want to throw up in the house. It's in the bathroom, but I didn't want to throw up in the house, so I went outside to the we lived on a main road, and I was throwing up on the curb, and Mum was just what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, no, Steph was fine. The next day she woke up and was like, yeah, I'm fine, and both of us felt like shit. We don't drink a lot. Steph, bless Steph, is out every weekend. I don't know how she does it. She works 3 jobs. Props to that girl.
Credit to her. And in the most recent reverse Uber rides that we did, all the comments were Steph's buff. Tank. How does she maintain that when she drinks
works
so
out
much?
3 times a day, dude.
What was fascinating to me was yes, when we did the first reverse Uber rides, the two of you met, and that was all cute and everything.
You could see we were both hey.
It was that was cute, and that was fun because you met whilst it was recording, and I was editing it, so I got to watch that, and I was just that's fun. But then how did you two become friends? Because I didn't realize, just suddenly, like, you guys were hanging out, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I actually felt a little left out. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like,
sorry.
what the fuck? No. What? How did you guys become friends?
I don't really know, to be honest. Like, I think the biggest thing that, like, was such a positive for me was what met you guys. Like, we had the reverse Uber rides, the first one, on, like, the day prior to my birthday, so the 14th, and I was having drinks in the city that weekend at Arbury Afloat, and I remember I, like, invited both of you, and I was kind of like, they're not going to show up because Darren's going to be working, and Steph, like, literally, I've met her once. It'll be a bit strange. And then you both showed up, and I'm looking at Steph and going, this chick has literally hung out with me for 3 hours this week and has rocked up to my birthday. I was like, what a fucking champion. And then I think we just started talking on and off, or we'd be replying to each other's stories. And then during lockdown, obviously she's very into fitness, she's a PT, and Billy's a PT, so I think we did a workout together, and then it just literally flowed from there. All of a sudden, like, she works with my partner, she's with him 4 out of 5 shifts that they share a week.
Sees it more than you.
Literally.
She's comfortable just going to, like, random events and kind of, like, making friends with anybody.
Oh my god, I
that's
have
like
a
a superpower.
about Saturday.
What
She was
happened
apparently on Saturday walking around. Steph's gonna kill me. Walking around at, like, we're at a bar for, like, the goodbye drinks for Billy's work, and so obviously she's there.
Yeah.
And she's walking around apparently going, watch my nip, I got a pissed. And Billy just is giving her so much shit. Like, I'm talking, Billy and Steph have the relationship of, like, an older brother and younger sister. Like, they just absolutely ripping the fuck out of each other. And when Steph's going, oh, my nip, I was just like, you guys did not see, like, her face in full after she had the nipple pierce. Like, I have never seen a girl so traumatized.
I felt so bad because I was filming and then I stopped when I came out of, like, after getting my nose done, because I've never seen her look like that. I was just like, oh my god.
Well, I kind of picked up how nervous she was prior, because so when we're getting everything set up, obviously you do like they ask you, you know, do you want a spray? Do you want a metal? What type of metal do you want? X, Y, Z. And every question they asked her, it's like I was her mum.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What would you like, titanium or silver?" And she'd just look at me.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "You want titanium, Steph?" And she's like, "Okay." She'd be like, "I have titanium." And they're like, "Do you want a spray?" And she looks at me, and I was like, "Yes, she will have a spray." And then it gets to the point then where they're like, "Okay, we'll go in." And she goes, "Can she come with me?" And they go, "No." And she's like. So I had to sit outside the door, and I'm just sitting there waiting with, like, almost my ear pressed, was like making sure she was okay.
Shame. And also, she didn't really like brag about it. I mean, like, when I got a piercing, especially my nipple piercing, I was showing everybody.
I didn't show anyone I got mine. I got mine like 6 years ago. I'm complete opposite. Like, I get in this car and I tell everyone everything. Like, everyone knows my sexual habits, what piercings I have, like, everything that's happening in my life. But in real life, I have, like, a very small group of friends, and, like, I'll tell my close friends effectively everything, but then people I meet, I'll be like, yeah, I have a few piercings. Like, I'm not very open with that stuff.
Majority of my audience is male.
Yes.
Okay. You know exactly where I'm going.
Where this is going.
And look, you know, it's actually, let me break it down for a second. Majority of my audience on YouTube is male. Majority of my audience on TikTok is female, and that's wild, because there's such a...
It's such a difference.
They clash heads at times. It's a completely different demos. I don't understand why it's like that. But that's just how it is. And on YouTube, a lot of people, especially after that first reverse Uber rides, when I linked yours and Steph's Instagram, people reach out, people are keen, people like you guys, because, like, you're attractive, you're funny, you're entertaining. You also have, like, a very, like, confident thing about you guys.
Which is so funny because, again, Steph and I in real life, like, we're confident, but we're both very self-confident, like self-conscious, sorry. So we, like, sometimes are just sitting there like...
look, I mean, maybe to yourselves, but, like...
I go overconfident when I'm very self-conscious. That's one of my big telltales, and that's why, like, I've got myself in trouble with quite a few things, because... to make myself feel more confident, because I'm so self-conscious in that moment, I'll do things like overdrink. And that comes across as I'm confident, I'm a big bubbly personality. Interesting.
Okay. No, I think I've probably done that from time to time as well. I mean, but that's also just, like, feeling safer or more secure with a drink in the hand kind of thing.
You're like...
But have you ever been surprised by the communications you've gotten from guys?
Oh my god, so much. Like,
actually?
Yeah.
So the first
video I think I did with you, I went up like I had like a couple thousand followers, and all of a sudden I gained like a couple hundred. I was like, haha, this is so funny. And it wasn't until the reverse Uber rides that both Steph and I like literally hit over 10k followers. You know, we were making jokes like, haha, swipe up because we can do it now because we're famous. Right. You know, obviously it's a running joke, guys, don't come for me for that, I know I'm not famous. But yeah, there's been a few, like obviously the hairy arms incident was a big one.
Oh, that true. I actually forgot about that.
I forgot about it too until today when I was kind of like looking through things and I was like, fuck, the hairy arms incident. That was the biggest one. Like, I've always been very, very self-conscious of my arms, like to the point that like I used to wax them. And then last year in the last couple of years I just kind of stopped because I didn't really give a fuck. Right. And I was like, it doesn't matter, like it doesn't bother me too much. But I've had like 2 instances, one online and then one I went to the Australian Open with a friend and I was sitting there having a drink and I saw a group message from the guys that I was with saying she's going to turn into a werewolf tonight because she's so hairy. Oh. And I like cried in the middle of the Australian Open.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just ignoring any of the really bad ones. Like the hairy arms one I did feed into because I found it entertaining. But anyone, like there's been ones, you know, that have said like, you know, you're ugly, you get dick pics, things like that. You just got to fucking ignore them because like it is entertaining. I've been video called numerous times. I've never picked up because I don't really want to see someone wanking. Well, it's obviously going to be someone wanking.
Look. Most of the time, me neither.
The novelty wears off very quickly. At first, you're like, oh, this is so funny. Like, random people are reaching out to me. And then it gets to a point where you're like, eh. Yeah. Like, at first, when we started dating, Billy was kind of like, what the fuck is with all these random boys DMing you? And I'm like, oh, because, you know, I don't accept any of them. So you just scroll through them, and there's, like, a lot of them.
I've seen, like... Well, you showed me.
I replied to one when we were drunk. All 3 of us replied to one when we were drunk. Yeah. The reverse Uber rides too. Yeah. And he still tries to video call me. I feel so bad. I'm like, sorry, mate, we were drunk looking for some entertainment.
If anything, like, look, I'm a guy. Although I would consider myself a polite guy. I'm a gentleman, all of that crap. I'm also a guy, and I understand how guys' brains work. I get it. But even so, like, some of the... just like cluelessness or like just genuine harassment that can come from some dudes when they think that there are no repercussions is really fucked up. Like it's properly fucked up. There was a thing that came out actually this was brought up ages ago, and then Angry Dad brought it up when I gave him a lift a couple of weeks ago or months ago. If you have a social media account, you should have to connect your ID to it, so that if you do bully, if you do harass, if you do use hate speech or whatever, you can face repercussions for it. Like if I start sending you dick pics like that you don't want, that's like public exposure.
And people just think
cops
they
show
can
up on your doorstep.
They think they can hide behind the phone, and they create like a fake account and things like that. Like I've had numerous people make fake accounts and send things to me that have just been to rile me up or things like that. And it takes a while to kind of develop that thick skin to do with it, and especially like for myself, as someone who's had quite a bad history of bullying, and so I have already like quite high anxiety. It took me ages to kind of get comfortable with it, and now it's just, if like that happened to me and I could feel comfortable with like reporting someone and being like they're going to actually get repercussions rather than their account will get banned and they can just make a new account to give me shit on.
100%. I mean, like in real life, if you say something fucked up to me, I'm not saying I'm necessarily going to do it, but I could punch you in the mouth. Not you.
And then I'll just press charges.
Not you. I'm saying like if somebody says something to me in real life, I can retaliate if I choose to. Now that's the variable, if I choose to. But online you can't really retaliate in any way, shape or form other than block them. But that's not actually retaliating. In fact, in a lot of instances, that's giving them what they want.
That was one of the big things you actually taught me. I remember there was one comment that got me real bad on like a bad day, and I sent a screenshot of this massive reply I was going to send. It was me like having a go at this guy, being like, how like small of a person do you have to be to send like a comment like this to a young girl, like blah blah blah. And then it was huge, and then I sent it to I think you and Steph, or maybe it was just you, and you're like, Phoebes, it's not worth it, you're like, just block him. And I did, and like it was much as I would have got the satisfaction about ripping into this guy, it was what he wanted, and then I would have felt so bad after because you've put it online and everyone can see it.
100%. It's like that whole taking the high road, or taking the high, whatever the saying is, taking the highway, taking the high road. it's very difficult to do in that setting, but like...
It's a maturity thing too.
It's maturity, but also just like giving them what they want means they'll come back for more.
100%. And that's
So...
the dream.
Yeah.
We love social media.
I'm pretty sure it was the CEO of Bumble in Texas. They got a law passed. I'm pretty sure it was Texas. For if somebody sends you a dick pic or like a picture that you didn't ask for, like of something graphic or whatever, you can actually face the same type of repercussions as if you were to expose yourself publicly.
That's so good.
In real life. And it's only a matter of time before that catches on. But on that topic of like bullying and like anxiety and stuff from when you were younger, we touched on this briefly, like when we did the Disney video.
Yes. I was so nervous for that video because I thought that no one would think I was funny because I wasn't drunk.
I mean, like, honestly, it was one of the first times that I had experimented with it outside of doing like a funny Uber rides on a Friday, Saturday. It's just like, all right, let's make content or have some banter around a topic. And it went really well. It's like, honestly,
it was funny.
It's probably my favorite video that we have done together. But you told me some like pretty heavy stuff there that I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about in this setting, or if there was anything like off limits.
No, nothing's really off limits. It's taken me a long time to kind of come to terms with all of it, and I guess if I'm comfortable talking about it and I'm happy to like shed some light on a situation, if it's gonna, if like, to be honest, if 5 people took something from this or one person took something from my story and it helped them in the future, I wouldn't give, like, I'd be very thankful that I then had the balls to do it.
Sure. So, do you want to give a bit of an intro into like when it started and what it was?
I guess like from a real beginning, I've had a lot of problems with bullying through like my childhood. So I left school in year 8 because I was bullied, and then I moved schools, and then I got bullied again like year 11 and 12. So I've always been very like kind of self-conscious of like people liking me. And so then when I left school and I made new friends, I was like going out and like clubbing and things like that. I just fell into the wrong habits of drugs and alcohol. And when I mean like drugs, I mean like MDMA, ketamine, and cocaine were kind of like my three big ones.
Okay.
And that's also why, like, my over drinking, that's where I would call that. So I got to the point where I was effectively an addict for drugs and alcohol and the only reason why I really was doing it was because other people were doing it.
Okay.
Like, if you think, my dad's a policeman, so I've been brought up with, I know what's right and what's wrong. And then with, going into school, like how many times have you been at school and they've brought in some speaker, special guest, to talk about the effects of alcohol, like drugs, so you know what's in it and you know it's bad.
Yes.
And I really did, but I then fell into it, and then I couldn't go out without, getting plastered off like everything.
Were you doing it just to see what happened?
I think I was doing it to fit in, majoritively.
Okay, so you weren't curious about the effects, it was more just about the social...
Like, it was, cool. It felt cool and it felt fun, and I was like, I was just more doing it to fit in, and I was also knew that, like, when I was on it, I was a lot of fun, and everyone was like, oh, you're so much fun to hang out with, and I was like, oh, cool, so, like, people want to hang out with me while I'm on it because of that.
And then afterwards, I mean, like, I remember when I drank for the first time, and then, like, yeah, it's an experience when you do it, but then it's also like talking about it afterwards with your friends is so exciting because it's like, hey, like you said this shit or you did that fucked up thing.
We'd always be laughing, be like, oh my god, what a fun night, like blah blah blah. Oh my god, that cap was awesome. We should buy from them again, So I said, and I was like, I'm a part of, like, it was a big group of us, and I had a big group of friends, and I loved it. And then it got to the point that it was so bad that, like, my parents had obviously started to catch on, like. It was affecting my work, it was affecting my sleep, it was affecting my moods, it was like I was a completely different person. And it got to the point that one night I had a psychosis, to the point that I don't remember 12 hours, but I somehow got from Crown in the city to Hawthorne.
Right.
And I think I was in an Uber, and I might have got out and then walked, and like there's a part of Richmond that I can't go through, that I couldn't go through for a while because it made me so anxious because I could remember like flashes of the 12 hours. And like
what were in those flashes?
Walking around, I lost my shoes. I don't know where I put my shoes. I was walking around and I thought we were in like some alternative world where it's like a Romeo Juliet style like war happening. When I was on one side, it was real bizarre. I was messaging people on Facebook and texting them and being like, I will fight for you. All this, like, I was literally in another like world.
What drug did you take that night?
I was taking coke and Ket, so obviously an upper and a downer.
A downer, fuck.
So
and did you drink as well?
Yeah, so effectively I was drinking on everything. So when my parents like I called my dad while I was in the psychosis. So then when I got home later in the day and things like that, and my dad was living overseas at that point for work. Obviously got my absolute ass handed to me because I'm the type of person as well, I have to learn it for myself. Like I could get told something and I'd be like, no, until I experience it and I know firsthand what it is.
I'm exactly the same.
And that's why like it took me to when I had a psychosis. And even then, like I had the psychosis and my dad's like, I'm going to hair test you, which if anyone who doesn't know, like hair testing shows up months and months and months of worth of drug use. Like,
what is hair testing?
Like if I take a chunk of my hair out and they'll run a test and they'll be able to see how much all the drugs in my system. I think it's between 6 or 12 months. I can't remember.
Oh, okay, cool.
Whereas like if you think like a swab I think in the mouth is like 3 days. It could be like 2 days and then or 3 days, and then blood test is like 5.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so it was
hair test.
Yeah, and then so I came off the drugs and I wasn't allowed to drink, and then because of that I was so self-conscious that I couldn't do drugs because my friends knew I couldn't do drugs because they knew what had happened, that I started to overdrink. And so when I was over drinking, I was awful. Like I became so bad to, like I was running around, would lose people, just was messy to the point that then that group of friends ended up kicking me kind of out of the group because I was just no fun to be around and I wasn't changing. And so, like that point of my life, I then, had effectively not been bullied again, but they'd shafted me out, and I don't hold any hard feelings against any of the people in that group because I was not a good person and I wasn't myself at that point. And so I was just kind of chucked out and was told to fix myself. So then all of a sudden again, I went to a psychiatrist. I'm getting told that I'm like very heavily anxious, very depressed.
Did the psychiatrist put you on any medication?
No, we were pretty... I don't know, the psych's the ones that can give... Is it psychologists or...
Psychs can give like antidepressants. Psychologists are just talking.
Talking?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't put on anything, so I must have been on the other one.
Okay.
But...
Well, psychiatrists can also just be talking, but they have the power to
maybe it was I think it was a psychiatrist, and we didn't put myself on anything for the time being. It'd been a couple months since I'd stopped using drugs and things like that. Like, so I was coming off it, and it was just... I was like so anxious, so depressed, had effectively no friends at that point in time, so I threw myself into work.
There's a question of like, at what point do you cut it 100%, and at what point do you regulate it? And it sounds like you regulate.
Yeah, I very much. Like I think when I met you, I was kind of still coming out of the party stage quite a bit, but like, that person did not see you. Naughty. I was coming out of it, so I was like still wanting to go out and drink a lot and things like that and have fun, because partially like, I was single, like wanted to live my best life, and then, I realised like it's not really what I wanted to do. I wanted to put time into my career, and then I fell in love with fitness again, so I was like wanted to work out a lot more, and I don't really know, my values aren't really going out anymore. I love, like, I'll go out every now and again, like my birthday, someone else's birthday, things like that, but even then, if I'm to get to the point where I'm to drink, like to want to heavily drink, it's only around certain people. Like I don't touch drugs anymore. I just obviously know they do not fit well with me, especially with my I guess where my mind's at. Even if I'm a lot better now, I'm still a very anxious person naturally, so I stress about a lot of things, and so then putting myself, if I was to go on drugs, would magnify everything. Like I've never done a hallucinogen because I knew if I did it I would fucking hate it, and then I would get so anxious. So yeah, even like big drinking, it's around certain people. Like Billy would probably have to be there, and that's not even just because I have to have him there, it's just because I trust him. And then even with certain people like you and Steph, I only got that drunk because I trust both of you.
Around like the whole anxiety piece, because it's something that you've identified and known for a little while. Is there, or do you have any suggestions or ideas or things that you do that might just like, work really well for you to like reduce or regulate
I'm like, I guess especially because I'm such a workaholic, for me it's alone time and quiet time.
You read a lot.
I read a lot. Like, the number one stress for me right now with Queensland is getting all my fucking books there. I've got 3 mammoth boxes. I'm not sure if I'm going to fit them in my car. I'm so stressed about not getting them there. But, like, reading for me is a big one. I love a bath with some candles. My favourite candle's watermelon flavoured. It's the best.
Righto,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's like candles. Sorry, I got a bit off there. Candle, bath, books are probably, like, my number one things.
Earlier this year, when I took my 2-month break, I identified that apparently I deal with like bouts of anxiety, and I would never have, like, in the past, have called myself anxious or have said that I'm an anxious person or that I have anxiety. I don't really know what that means. I always probably shied away from it, or even any type of diagnosis like that, because it scares me to the point, or it scared me to the point of like, all right, well, once you have that, then you have that for the rest of your life, then like, what do you do about it? What I realize is obviously there's like different levels of the amount of anxiety that you can have, and some people have like versions of anxiety where they need to be on medication and
like
all
it's
of this
crippling.
kind of stuff. Yeah. I think a couple of things that I've picked up on in the last couple of months has been this thing of journaling. I'm obsessed with it lately.
I love journaling.
I'm obsessed with it lately because what I realize is when thoughts that go through my head, they have a certain velocity. They can go a certain way. They can take a certain route, if you will. But then to actually put that thought onto paper, or I type it, it's actually can be quite difficult. And then to put it into words that are readable by myself or anybody else. Nobody else reads my journal. That can actually calm me down, because it's like, all right, maybe I have been overthinking.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of the time it's a question of me just being too hard on myself or judging myself and things like that. But the journaling thing has literally fucking changed my life.
It helps so much. I was doing it all of last year, effectively. Well, I started last year. One of my very good friends introduced me to it, and like she gave me, I think it was, I had to say 3 things I like about myself, and then for the day, and then like 3 people I'm grateful for, and then there was like one thing that didn't go right today, but what or one thing that I don't like about myself, but like and then you have to make it positive. So it's like, it literally changed my thought process. Like, I'll be so negative. I used to be so negative with everything, and then now I'll make a comment that might be negative, but I find a positive way. So I've noticed that my train of thought is always positive now.
True. You can, because I also I find that I can often judge myself for thinking things rather than for doing things.
100%.
And that's, it's just inherently wrong, because we're supposed to think good and very bad and horrible things. Like, if I was to go into the back of this car and I was to injure the person in there, that's where my mind might go. Like, sure, I might be a fucking psychopath, but I'm not going to do it. I'm a bad guy once I do it. If I think about it, it's just like, that's fine. That's normal.
That car would do more damage to this car than you would to it.
Okay, alright, easy. Look, I get it's a small car, but like, no, but like, I think like in the past, I probably would have judged myself pretty badly for thinking about going into the back of that car, and that's just, it's unfortunate.
Everyone always gives me shit because I bring Billy up so much, but like, I'm very lucky to have a very supportive partner that like, when we come home or if something's happening, I feel like no judgment. So if I'm going through something, I'll say everything to him. Like, he knows everything about me, everything in my life, and the same thing, and I can just get everything off my chest. And it might even be, hey, I don't want you to do anything about this, but I need to tell you something. And you split it through, and then I don't really almost have a need to journal at the moment. This is 100% the happiest and the best headspace I've been in ever in my life. I can guarantee it. I set myself a goal to be a site manager by 23, and I did it. So I've been like really feeling good about my job, and so like I don't know, I just fell into this job and I love it. I'm very sad to be leaving, but I can I'm working for a cinema up in Queensland, so that'll be not too far.
Do you have any suggestions, because like love and work is such a big part of your life? Do you have any suggestions on like being patient and waiting for the right one, or chasing it afterwards, or like because I know a lot of like your story and stuff with that. I also know that you have a lot of conviction over relationships. That's something I've struggled with in the past, and I'm getting better with, but like, you're so into your relationship that you're moving to another state, and That takes balls, bro. Like, that's really impressive. Like, how do you do that?
I love him. Like, it's
Right.
sounds so cheesy, but like,
No,
like back, I guess, to what you were saying, like the conviction of it and everything. I guess I used to hate when people would say to me, "You just got to wait, and the right person will find you." I went for ages. I'd go out, and like, I think part of the reason I was going out so much is I wanted to meet someone and I wanted to have a boyfriend. Like, I put myself first, and I was like, working on myself, doing like getting into fitness again, and being like, putting my work first. And all of a sudden, he just like fell into my life. And I don't like. There's been times in this relationship that it's been messy, but like putting your head down and trusting your gut instinct of like, I have never ever had a doubt with Billy of how much like I love him and how like that he is someone that's going to be very important in my life. Like I've said to him numerous times, and he always freaks out when I say this, but like I always I know he's the one.
Wow.
It sounds so cheesy,
Wow.
but I have absolutely like no doubt, and I've just trusted my gut the entire time.
I think one of the fastest ways, and I've learned this from like personal experiences in particular this year, one of the fastest ways to build self-esteem is to trust yourself to do something scary and to do it. And it's like,
I was terrified when I met Billy. I used to sleep around a lot. Like when I was on drugs and at kind of that point in my life, like I'd never had a boyfriend. I'd never been on a date, like things like that. I was like, I'll just start sleeping around. Like, and at that point as well, it would kind of like fit the lifestyle I was in. And so I was like sleeping around quite a bit. I had a few guys on my roster. And then
I remember.
I had like 7.
I remember. We used to have this conversation.
Yeah, like the first time I met you, I was going to see that guy that I had been talking to and I really wanted to sleep with. And then before I met Billy, I literally went celibate for 12 months. Full celibate, like did not sleep with anyone, did not like...
That's when you started, like, this, that's when I noticed, at least, the reading thing. You would be like, smash the whole book in a day, or like, and I'd be like, who are you? Like,
didn't have someone to go suck a dick with, so like...
He's a fucking good looking rooster. One of the first things I said to Billy when I met him, I was like, my God, you're built like a freight train. Especially, like, it's one thing like to be built and stuff, but he is a fucking unit.
I feel like everyone always asks this online. I'm 5'11", like I'm naturally a very tall person.
Yeah.
And then I think Billy's 6'1" or 6'2".
Must be nice, tall fucking couples. Look at you.
Well, I've always needed, like, I don't know. It's I was very short growing up, and I hit like year 8, and then all of a sudden was like, psych, I'm gonna be the tallest bitch here.
I got a couple of flash questions from fans.
What are they? Have we had a threesome?
No, look, I've regulated them because there was a lot of that. I was just like,
guys, we've answered that question before. Calm down.
Yeah, look, this first one's from Steph. It's one thing you think. I can never understand.
Yeah,
her
she
text.
just like types.
She types, and I like sort of understand, but it doesn't make any sense.
Steph is like one of the things that describes Steph the best is she speaks before she thinks, and she types. The amount of time she sent a message to one of us, like to both of us, and I've just had to like piece together the word.
Yes,
I'm like.
So, we had this thing the other night where I was trying to pick her up, and couldn't tell me where she was. So she was like, "Can you just come pick me up?" And then she was starting to get annoyed with me because I'm not coming. I'm like, "You have to tell me where you are." One thing you could have told your older self when you were young. Piece of advice.
To be patient. Like everything comes with time, and despite the fact I was going through like some hardships and things sucked for a little bit. Oh, sorry, my sister's boyfriend's pulling up. If you're just patient and you trust yourself and you trust like kind of where things are going, like everything's gonna be okay. Just not to put too much pressure on yourself almost.
I absolutely love that because that's also my go-to. This patience piece, because I wanted it all when I was fucking 18, but it's just not realistic.
Yeah, it's like you got to take time.
Thoughts about long-distance relationships?
I think it depends on the couple and the people you are. I don't think personally like I could do it. Again, because I'm naturally quite an anxious person, and while I trust Billy with my whole heart, I know personally I would struggle. But yeah, so it depends. Like I think it can work under circumstances.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your favourite colour of the alphabet? Okay, next one.
You fuck ask that.
That was from Akmal.
Thank you, Akmal.
Thanks, Akmal. Who's your favourite Harry Potter character and why?
Oh, Sirius Black. 100%. Always loved it. I just loved that he was a bit of a bad boy.
Oh.
And I felt like he was so dogged. Like, he took the fall for fucking Peter Pettigrew and he could have had this whole life with Harry. So sad. Imagine if, like, he hadn't had to go to Azkaban and Harry would have grown up with this, like, loving godfather. It's devastating.
I don't know anything of what you just said. What was your biggest what the fuck moment with Darren?
It's been a few, though. Like... No, to be honest, like, I feel like we're on the same, like, energy level, so I haven't had many what the fuck moments. I've had more what the fuck moments with me, with you, if it makes sense, but it was more directed at me. Like, I'd be like, why the fuck did I say that?
I got one. It was when we were on Dandenong Road, and you were telling me a story, and then you just changed your story.
Oh my god, yeah.
I was listening to the song, I'm like, hold on, I
sent me the video.
heard that right.
You sent me the video. I watched it like twice, and I was like, I don't even know. If anyone like remembers, I don't even think it made the cut, but it's like it was my passengers made me need therapy or something,
I think it was that
and
video.
so I was blind drunk. I'd been at a 30th all day. Like we were playing beer pong with cruisers. Then we went to the Albion. It was like a $3,000 paid bar tab, and so I get in the car and I was fucking blind. And so I just start talking, and then midway through a topic, I had to start talking about something else.
I think you were telling me a story and then you realised that story wasn't interesting. But then you started like halfway through another story, and when you finished, you kind of like looked at me all confidently, and I'm like, what is going on?
I was like, he's going to love this story. Great fucking content. And to be fair, it was great content. It's got over 1 million views, that video.
Actually, favourite Disney or Pixar movie?
You're not going to kill me if I don't say Toy Story.
No.
Like, I do love Up. I think that's such a beautiful movie. But like, also Hercules is my number one. Again, because I love Greek mythology.
Have you seen, is it Soul?
I haven't seen it yet.
Same.
But
everybody talks about it.
We should do a watch party where you watch it and we get to like talk about it.
When did you first realise Darren is the sexiest boy in the Southern Hemisphere?
Straight away, 100%.
100%, okay.
I got in the car, I was like, wow, how is this an Uber driver? He's a sexy motherfucker.
This is the last one. It's not a question. It's just from Alexi Oakes. It says, not a question, just tell her I think she's the best girl.
Aww, thanks, Alexi.
I thought that was really sweet.
That is really sweet. Normally I get told I have hairy arms or that I'm weird, so thank you. That makes me feel a bit better as I sit here in this car explaining about my mental health issues. One of the first times I've had no makeup.
I love it. Dude, also just on a personal level, thank you so much for just like being a part of this. Like,
thank you for having me. I remember it was a bit like I was a bit shocked at the start, and I've actually had the most amount of time. I'm like the best amount of time here, and I'm so thankful to call you like a close friend now.
No, dude, likewise. But I mean, I don't only mean with the podcast. It's also like all of this like Uber stuff kind of came around when I was just in that whole transitional what am I doing with my life thing, and it's working out, which is nice. But I also just like love one, the way that we met, but two, the nature and like of your openness, and just like I guess that you trusted me, and I do have like your best interests at heart, and I think it goes both ways, and I really appreciate you.
I'm gonna cry when we say goodbye on Friday.
You're a beautiful human. No, I really mean that, and I'll see you on Friday. I'll see you in a couple days.
I'm not ready to say goodbye to everyone.
Frustratingly, I wasn't able to say goodbye to Phoebe a couple of days ago when she left for Queensland, but Phoebes, I want to personally thank you for our friendship. Darren from Audio Production here. I just want to add that I wasn't able to say goodbye to Phoebe because of this most recent announcement of lockdown. Poor Phoebes wasn't allowed to host her goodbye drinks before she left. I think I speak for not just myself, but also the viewers when I say that we absolutely adore your personality and wish you the very best with your new beginnings. Also, I still have your expensive bottle of gin that you left at my apartment, so I'm going to have to deliver that to you at some stage.
Soon I'm going to be hanging out with Piper.
Oh, true.
Well, Steph's coming here for a drink early on Friday if you wanted to come.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll be here at I think we're going to be here about 6.
6 o'clock. Okay, yeah,
cool.
I'm down.
Bye, I will see you on Friday.
See you, Pebbles.